Estranged twins, Rhona and Flint, are pried from their despondent lives by an incomprehensible force. Rhona, a tempestuous cage fighter and runaway, wrestles with her geeky brother Flint, as the siblings try to elude a dangerous enemy who was responsible for the disappearance of their father. An unlikely ally leads the twins across time through a mysterious ancient stone to medieval Wales in the year 1232 AD. Here they come face to face with a brutal world filled with superstition and legends. Along the way, they meet a penniless leader, a dark sorceress, and a warrior priest who provoke the twins into confronting the truth about themselves, each other, and Jesus Christ. Sometimes, it takes getting out of your comfort zone for God to speak to you. In the case of twins Rhona and Flint Thatcher, it takes going back in time for God to get a word in edgewise.
1232 will be released as weekly episodes on your favorite streaming platform.
An audio epic, as we describe it, is a fully narrated, fully dramatized, soundscaped, and scored audiobook experience.
Telling the story via audio is so that your imagination can take flight. And unlike a book, you can share it in real time with others.
Estranged twins, Rhona and Flint, are pried from their despondent lives by an incomprehensible force. Rhona, a tempestuous cage fighter and runaway, wrestles with her geeky brother Flint, as the siblings try to elude a dangerous enemy who was responsible for the disappearance of their father. An unlikely ally leads the twins across time through a mysterious ancient stone to medieval Wales in the year 1232 AD. Here they come face to face with a brutal world filled with superstition and legends. Along the way, they meet a penniless leader, a dark sorceress, and a warrior priest who provoke the twins into confronting the truth about themselves, each other, and Jesus Christ. Sometimes, it takes getting out of your comfort zone for God to speak to you. In the case of twins Rhona and Flint Thatcher, it takes going back in time for God to get a word in edgewise.
1232 will be released as weekly episodes on your favorite streaming platform.
An audio epic, as we describe it, is a fully narrated, fully dramatized, soundscaped, and scored audiobook experience.
Telling the story via audio is so that your imagination can take flight. And unlike a book, you can share it in real time with others.
Estranged twins, Rhona and Flint, are pried from their despondent lives by an incomprehensible force. Rhona, a tempestuous cage fighter and runaway, wrestles with her geeky brother Flint, as the siblings try to elude a dangerous enemy who was responsible for the disappearance of their father. An unlikely ally leads the twins across time through a mysterious ancient stone to medieval Wales in the year 1232 AD. Here they come face to face with a brutal world filled with superstition and legends. Along the way, they meet a penniless leader, a dark sorceress, and a warrior priest who provoke the twins into confronting the truth about themselves, each other, and Jesus Christ. Sometimes, it takes getting out of your comfort zone for God to speak to you. In the case of twins Rhona and Flint Thatcher, it takes going back in time for God to get a word in edgewise.
1232 will be released as weekly episodes on your favorite streaming platform.
An audio epic, as we describe it, is a fully narrated, fully dramatized, soundscaped, and scored audiobook experience.
Telling the story via audio is so that your imagination can take flight. And unlike a book, you can share it in real time with others.
Estranged twins, Rhona and Flint, are pried from their despondent lives by an incomprehensible force. Rhona, a tempestuous cage fighter and runaway, wrestles with her geeky brother Flint, as the siblings try to elude a dangerous enemy who was responsible for the disappearance of their father. An unlikely ally leads the twins across time through a mysterious ancient stone to medieval Wales in the year 1232 AD. Here they come face to face with a brutal world filled with superstition and legends. Along the way, they meet a penniless leader, a dark sorceress, and a warrior priest who provoke the twins into confronting the truth about themselves, each other, and Jesus Christ. Sometimes, it takes getting out of your comfort zone for God to speak to you. In the case of twins Rhona and Flint Thatcher, it takes going back in time for God to get a word in edgewise.
1232 will be released as weekly episodes on your favorite streaming platform.
An audio epic, as we describe it, is a fully narrated, fully dramatized, soundscaped, and scored audiobook experience.
Telling the story via audio is so that your imagination can take flight. And unlike a book, you can share it in real time with others.
All right, welcome everybody, Kroisa, to It's Finally Here, the live stream for the season finale of 1232 is here. Welcome everyone, welcome one and all. Hopefully I got my Welsh pronunciation right, because I did not when I was interviewing Sarah Woodbury, an author, a bonus episode you guys might have seen. But tonight we are going to be streaming episode 30 live with you guys, so we can all chat about it in the comments. We can do some commentary, whatever you guys like. Welcome one, welcome all. I hope this is working across the platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. So if you are there, please, let's get some swords in the chat. Let's get some, I don't know, some hearts in the chat, some Welsh flags in the chat, some dragons, something so that I know you guys are there and we can all get this party started. So welcome, welcome. I'm not gonna lie, this is a bit of a relief for me and the team. We are relieved to come to the end of this show. It's some mixed feelings for me, mixed emotions, but mostly it's wow and whew. Because for the last 4 months, we've been barely getting episodes done by Monday for Dramify and Wednesday for the free streaming. like literally editing each episode every week. So to be here today celebrating the premiere that the final episode is out, we're just stoked. We're so stoked. So thank you guys. Thank you to our listeners. Whenever we have some more folks in the chat tuning in, we've got quite a few of you already, we'll get into the program and we'll get to listening to the next episode. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right. Yeah. Drop some swords in the chat. Drop some hearts. Drop some dragons. If you are here, if you can hear me, and if you can see me, then please let me know. We're streaming on multiple channels tonight, I hope. So you know what? Really, it's thanks to you. Thank you, listeners, for getting us here. So a couple things. If you're not part of our newsletter, then you've been missing out on behind-the-scenes tidbits that we've been dropping for each episode every week. We also have talked about merch. Nice. Yay. Cheyenne Landry, the one and only, is here in the chat. Thank you, Shy. Lovely swords. And also, the newsletter is where we've been talking about the live events we've been going to, the Ren fairs we've been going to, the book conferences. And so if you're not part of the newsletter, you need to be. So I'm going to drop the link for that. Sign up on the newsletter. Take a minute right now. I am about 42 subscribers from hitting my next milestone on the newsletter. You sign up on there, you're going to know what happens next. And I'll just keep you updated. So if you sign up on the newsletter, you get info first. Info first. From Australia! All right, Adam David Collins, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited to have you. Tasmania, technically, so awesome. So folks, the newsletter is important, and that's where we have insights. Go sign up right now. Subscribe, link is in the chat. Check it out. Also, socials. If you're scattering about on the social medias, we are there too. We're on all of them. We post every week. I try to do some funny reels or something like that. But if you haven't seen our posts, it's probably because you need to engage with the content. Sorry, I know. I wish these platforms made it easy for you, but they really don't. So how you engage is you like, share, comment. I only need, I think, 10 more subscribers on IG to reach the next goal and about 15 on YouTube to reach my next goal. So listeners, assemble and go to at 1232 Audio Epic on IG or Facebook and at Callie Sue on YouTube. Hit that subscribe, smash it, do it, because we can reach these goals on the socials. I think we all know right now how important that is for getting the show out there. Sarah Daniels is here in the chat. Kaylin and Crockett are here in the chat. This is awesome. Here we go. We got some Welsh flags. We got some swords. Excellent. Sarah, you are so welcome. Thank you, guys. So newsletter and socials are the free way and really a very effective way of being a part of the show and getting 1232 out to new folks. So those are the free ways to support. If you want to go further in and see even more content and wackier stuff, then you can join our Patreon. It starts at $3, which is cheaper than a cup of coffee. So for $3 a month, you'll be getting access to all the episodes ad-free, plus new episodes, production updates of season 2, and of course, lots of other content I'm dropping on there, character deep dives, some fun, like fan art that we've created, also the interviews. I've got some terrific interviews coming up, a wonderful author who's written an Italian Renaissance steampunk book. It's wonderful. She's great. And then, of course, I'm interviewing one of my favorite photographers, Liz Roberts. Oh my gosh, I can't believe she said yes to it. I'm so excited about that. Thank you, Jet. Jet just dropped the Patreon link in the chat. You can head off right now and go check out our Patreon. And you can start at $3, which is less than a cup of coffee, less than wine, any of that, and be a part of supporting the next show. Okay, so thank you guys. And if you are new here and you don't know what this is, but you happened upon it, hello, my name is Callie Sue. I am one of the authors, the director, producer, and narrator of the show 1232, a time travel medieval fantasy adventure told in audio format for all ages, meaning it is wholesome, but still a exciting show. If you grew up with 80s, 90s, and early O's, fantasy, action adventure, sci-fi, the show is made for you. And you can see on the ticker here, you can stream it everywhere for free. And tonight is the finale. So we've released 30 episodes, one a week since January 17th. We dropped several episodes in January. You guys have been listening, and I'm going to be revealing the numbers that we have on the downloads and where we are. We're pretty up there. I'm so blessed. Thank you guys for listening, and thank the Lord, man. I was just talking to him this morning and writing in my journal, and I've been crying tears of joy since Sunday when we popped 2 bottles of champagne and celebrated the end of this show. So it has been amazing. But we are going to, let's do this. We're going to do this. I'm kind of running things, checking on the chat. If you guys have any questions, throw them in. We're going to listen to Bad Hair Day Callie talk about the Patreon real quick. So give me just a second. I don't know why I could blame Jet, but I'm not going to. I don't know why I did my hair like this. I was thinking something else. And I don't know. But here we go, everybody. Here it is. When I was a little girl, my sister and I would pack a loaf of bread, some cheese, a canteen of water, and a book. We'd abandon our schoolwork and run off into the woods. We would have a blanket tied around us like a cape and spend the majority of the time looking for the perfect walking stick. We'd venture off into the pastures of my family's ranch in New Mexico, looking for the perfect spot to hide from my mom. And my sister would crack open the book and read aloud to me. These are some of my fondest memories. I'm going to pause it for just a second and let it catch up just a little bit. I feel like it's glitching out pretty bad. So you can see, I mean, my hair is awesome, but for some reason in this video, it's not. But the background's pretty dope and the jacket is really cool. Okay, let's play her again. And when my mom would read aloud to me, when my uncle would practice his impersonations and acting antics. I've always loved the art of oral storytelling. And that's what 1232 is, a fulfillment and a continuation of that excellent tradition. Hello, my name is Callie Sue. I'm an author, musician, and adventurer. I love a good story with every fiber in my being. And my favorite author is the one who is co-writing my life with me, Jesus Christ. Welcome to the 1232 Patreon page. For 1232, a time travel medieval fantasy adventure for all ages, and it's out now for free. So Callie, if it's free, why do you need a Patreon? Because there's 14 years of behind the scenes content, more stories, exclusive interviews, 60 episodes, so many adventures I can't wait to share with you. Think of Patreon as paying it forward for others to listen. 1232 is an audio epic. Because of its sheer production size and process, nothing like it has been made before by a couple of independent artists from New Mexico. It has full narration, full dramatization, immersive sound, and an original score. Hopefully you know that already, and that's why you're here, because you want more. You might be like me and you never want the show to end. You could have Arthurian legend for breakfast, adventure for lunch, medieval anything and everything for dinner every night for the rest of your life and never be satisfied. Well, that might be a bit much. But maybe you just want to support indie artists of faith who finally have the tools to make quality entertainment that can almost rival production houses that have much bigger funding. And maybe you believe in what I'm doing. Here on the Patreon, you'll get early access to 1232 episodes, commentary, and exclusive content made just for you around 1232, the audio epic. With your help, we can accomplish 2 things. 1, Keep the show free so that all can hear it. 2, you'll be getting quality entertainment and content while not just supporting me, oh no, but 40 different artists involved in this project. With your donation and patronage, I get to continue releasing episodes of 1232 even into season 2, and hiring spectacular talent, and hopefully continuing to keep the beacons of inspiration lit. Please consider becoming a patron. I desperately need hope and courage in the world today, and you do too. Let's continue the adventure. Become a patron, check out a tier, subscribe, and get your perks. Thanks for listening, and stay courageous. Ta-da! There you go. So that is why you should join our Patreon. Welcome, everybody. We are at the season 1 finale. 2 years, 2 months, 15 plus hours of finished professional audio, and 30 episodes later, we're here for the finale. Are you guys ready to hear this episode? Because it is fantastic. I got to wait to hear it after Jet had already done quite a bit of editing. I didn't, usually the process is I do the raw edit, the rough edit after everybody has submitted their recorded materials, which was 2 years ago. And then I make a bunch of notes, submit it to KC, our sound designer. He begins adding in all the different sound effects and a lot of just setting the mood and putting the background noises in, and then giving us kind of narrowing our vision down to close-ups of oh, you can hear a blade being sharpened or getting on a horse or whatever we decided to add. And then he sends it back. I listen to it again. I make some more notes, and then I pass it on to Jet, who really polishes those sound effects and starts scoring it, laying in the music. But this time with this one, it went from me to Casey to Jet. And then I listened to it, and what a treat that was, because it felt like I was really, truly listening to it for the first time. And it really took my breath away, gave me chills. It is going to be a little scary. So, just be aware of that. But let me get it loaded up here. So we're going to give it just a minute to load. There it is. Now that is Jet actually doing that sound with his voice, and then adding a bunch of special effects. If you tuned in for our Q&A episode, which I think was episode 26, and you would have heard us talk more in depth about a lot of our sound effects, sound design, actors, answering a bunch of questions that you submitted. Okay, we are ready. We're ready. It is sad that it's the last one. My favorite sound. Thank you, Jalen. All right, guys, be thinking about your questions, because we are going in. Get you a good cup of tea. Get you more popcorn, some coffee. Go up and use the restroom. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes, because here we go. We're going to listen to it. It's 20 minutes. There's no ads in this one. This one's ad-free, just for you, just tonight to listen. Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lasses, I'm excited to present to you episode 30 of 1232.
You're listening to 1232, an audio epic produced by Rumblestump Entertainment. Episode 30. Priest Michael hadn't moved from his spot, standing square, watching as Rhona had delighted the crowd with her knife-throwing skills. His gaze was pulled from Rhona and Cardigan to the dogs, fighting next to the table, and he motioned to Flint.
Flint, there is your hound.
Pointing to a skinny one trying to steal a bone from another.
Yeah, that's her. What should we do?
Leave her be. If you try to catch her, she would suspect something and run. And we do not know what she may have heard or how long she has been here. We will have to set a trap for her. Come, let us get your sister to help.
Flint nodded and grabbed Rhona. Around the corner of a shed, they discussed a way to trap the enchanted spy.
Okay, now Flint, one more time. You're the bait. Once you get her around here, we will shut the gate and she won't have anywhere to run. If you can't get her tied up, you remember the signal. We'll wait over there, okay? Just don't spook her.
Rhona said, and patting Flint on the shoulder.
No pressure. It's just the success or failure of the whole thing on you, right now.
With a smirk, she and the priest walked to their post. Flint took a deep breath and adjusted his glasses. He went back to the table and sat down, where Lord Ganby and his family were still merrymaking. Smith was there too, and he noticed Flint. They got into a conversation about food, and Flint ended up trying to explain what chicken nuggets were to the whole table. There was so much laughing and carrying on that Rhona thought maybe Flint forgot his mission. But when her brother had everyone relaxed and enjoying themselves, he leaned back and offered the dog a bone under the table. She took it, ate it rapidly, and came back again. After that, Flint left, grabbing a handful of food when he did. Watching from a distance, Rhona came close to feeling proud of Flint. He wasn't acting jittery like normal. In fact, she noticed he was cool. Well, almost cool.
Come on, Scooby. I got you a whole meal here. Come on.
Flint said in a high-pitched voice and whistling. The dog hesitated, slowly following him around the corner of the shed. Flint sat down on a blanket and patted it to welcome the dog. He felt sorry for her, whoever she was, trapped inside the enchantment. The dog looked suspiciously at the blanket and retreated a couple steps. Flint dumped out the food, and that did it. She came right up and started woofing it down. Flint petted her and slipped a rope around her neck and tied a knot, the one Rhona had showed him. He signaled to Rhona, who waved back, and went to make sure there was no way out of the courtyard, in case Flint couldn't tie a good knot. Flint sat beside the dog, quiet and contemplative, for the first time all day. He pondered about what life would be like if he were cursed to live a half-life as an animal. Daydreaming, he was startled by a snarling bark next to him. It made him jump. The dog turned on him and lunged for his neck. Flint got away in time, but the dog hit the end of the rope, crazed and mad, and the more it fought the rope, the more frantic it got.
It's almost night, Luddy. The demon is changing.
I guess I should have remembered she was a demon and not just a dog.
The dog's outburst had rattled him. They watched the animal writhe at the end of the lead.
You don't think the rope is hurting her, do you?
Not if you tied the knot I showed you.
Holy cow, she's mad.
We must watch her closely. There is still a chance she could escape. One of you should fetch Pit's cardigan here. Rhona, would you be so kind?
Rhona gladly left, deeply disturbed. She didn't like what she saw, and didn't want any part of it. The hound had always bothered her. Its eyes changed from animal to human, and now was foaming at the mouth, fighting the rope, rabid. On her way to find Cardigan, she wondered if the priest was right about it being a demon.
I still don't think this stupid half-life magic crap is real. I guess we'll just watch and see.
Rhona found Cardigan with Daffod over by the horses. He had Daffod up on Hewlin, and they were talking when Rhona walked up.
Hey, Cardigan. The priest wants you to come interrogate the dog spy thing by the shed over there. We caught her. Or, well, actually, Flint did.
Cardigan greeted her with a smile, and so did Daffod, looking a lot like his uncle.
I will go and see what I can discover.
Can I go?
Daffod asked, about to hop down.
No, stay here with Lady Rhona. I'll return soon and you can tell me the story of how you rode Heowen through the fire again.
Cardigan bowed to Rhona and walked away from them. Rhona didn't mind staying with the kid for now. If something strange happened with the boy, it would be in his imagination. She had figured out by now that the truth was weirder than fiction. At least, it was in 1232. Cardigan rounded the corner in time to see the hound transformed into the miserable woman Vera. One moment, the hound was twisting and snarling at the end of the rope. The next, a woman lay on the ground weeping. Her ragged appearance made Flint recoil a few steps. It was dark now, and the three men were hard to see. Even more invisible was the spy, who crawled to the end of the rope and croaked for water.
Easy, Vera. Take it easy. Drink slowly. There you go. Take your time. Here, now let's get up. Take my cloak.
Priest Michael brought her a small skin of water. He covered her with his cloak and helped her to her feet. She whimpered some, for the rope was still around her neck. Cardigan drew a knife and stepped up to her, Flint recoiled, thinking he was about to stab her, but instead he cut the rope off of her neck. The fact that the priest had been right about the possession did nothing for Flint's nerves. 5 minutes ago, he didn't think any of this was possible. He just stared hard in the dim light, trying to tell his brain to believe his eyes.
I'm sorry.
Her twisted mouth spraying saliva as she tried to enunciate.
Flint, I'm sorry I could have hurt you. You are my only friend.
Vera said, tears glinting in the starlight. Flint couldn't manage a response. All he could do was look at Cardigan, wondering what they were going to do with her now.
How long has this curse afflicted you, Vera?
She shrank away from him and curled up into a ball, taking the blanket Flint had been sitting on and pulling it over her head. After a minute or two, she answered.
7 years. You know my name.
Priest Michael stood a few feet away from her, turned his head skyward, and stretched out his hands, palms up. Flint assumed he was praying. He looked at Cardigan again, who was crouched down next to him, watching the quivering wad of blankets.
Vera, I knew you when you were a chieftain's daughter. When your father commanded you to marry, and you rebelled against him running away to join the Avalon Order. I was the one who brought news of the Christ to your clan. You remember me, don't you?
Priest Michael was now addressing the blankets, but Flint couldn't make out his face in the dark. He couldn't remember ever feeling so hopelessly sad, listening to Vera as she sobbed.
Yesu, the Christ, has come to set you free. He has shed his blood for you, and he defeated death. He defeated sin. Yesu lives. He is life. He is the light, and he offers you freedom. He will forgive your sins and set you free from the demon that has bound you. Do you want freedom, Vera?
The sobbing and trembling stopped. The blanket showed no sign of movement. She made no sound. All was still. Eerily still. Flint was absolutely weirded out. Then a voice came from the blanket, clear as crystal.
Leave me alone. No one can set her free. She's mine.
Flint looked around, expecting to see someone else. The voice was so otherworldly and didn't match the way Vera was just talking. Priest Michael bent down on one knee and said,
Yesu gave us authority in his name.
Then to the woman beneath the blanket, the priest spoke softly.
Vera, Yesu cares for you. In his mighty name, you're free from the demon.
The blanket moved again. This time it looked like someone was wrestling underneath it.
Demon, leave this woman and never return in the name of Yesu the Christ. By his name I bind you. You have no power over her. For he knows your name and he will cast you out. Now go!
Without realizing it, Flint had grabbed Cardigan's shoulder and was squeezing it. Eyes wide, he stood in amazement watching the scene. Whatever was going on under the blanket was violent. The woman threw herself to the ground, rolling around, struggling with an unseen enemy, until the moment the priest repeated the words,
Yesu the Christ!
Vera screamed, loud. And after a little more struggling beneath the blanket, she was still. They waited, and sobs began again. Vera slowly pulled the blanket off of her head. She looked worse than ever, breathing hard and crying. But she crawled to the priest, who opened his arms and embraced her. He held her there, crying with her for a long time. Vera held tightly to the priest, a soul set free from a tragic possession, finally finding peace. Flint let go of Cardigan's shoulder.
Sorry, man. Didn't mean to do that.
He said, a little embarrassed as Cardigan rubbed the pain out of it. But as usual, he grinned back at Flint, elbowing him as he stood up. Cardigan's humor eased Flint's tension. What he had witnessed put his entire body on edge. He was a Christian, he had read the Bible, and even the parts where Jesus had delivered people from demons. But now, Flint realized he must have never believed those stories. He had never once considered the fact that demons were real. They were in the same category as fairies and goblins and that type of thing. Things that Flint wanted to be real in a romantic, imaginary sort of way. Not anymore, though. Flint was shaken to the core. His palms were sweaty, his head filled with doubts. Was Priest Michael a charlatan? Was Cardigan a Jesus freak?
Where does that leave me?
Cardigan left them, but came back in a moment with a candle, some water, and some more food. Vera accepted graciously and tried to eat, but she was missing quite a few teeth, and that made it an arduous process for her to eat. Her face, however, looked different now. The tortured look in her eyes was gone, the tautness of her features gone, a look of peace replacing it. And despite the scars streaking her face, she almost glowed.
I have been Zoriel's slave for 7 years, and she would have killed me, but Rhaegar, her captain, sent me to spy on you. He is hunting you, father, and you, prince. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was ordered to follow you and stay with you until you had gathered the strength to attack her again. Then I was to warn her.
She began, her stuttering gone. All that was left of her twisted speech was a lisp through her missing teeth. She burst into tears, but swallowed them back.
Thank you, priest. This god you serve has done more for me than mine ever could.
The men just listened, not surprised by anything she had said so far. Vera was crying tears of joy, and then she grabbed her head.
Things are unclear. I have forgotten to tell you something.
She wiped her eyes and searched the ground. Sometimes her dog mind and human mind didn't weld well, and she couldn't always place last events. Now that the demon was gone, her experiences as a hound became memories.
They have a prisoner! In the tower. A man. I think Rhaegar has been keeping him a secret from Zoriel.
Is it Taff? The man that came through with us?
Flint chimed in. Vera looked at Flint, for the first time, as herself. Flint turned away, embarrassed. He was daunted by her haggard face and scars.
I think so. Zoriel did not know about him.
The priest's brow furrowed, and he looked to Cardigan.
If this is indeed Lady Rhona's friend, and Flint's, we must proceed with caution and keep our mission secret. She could kill him before we have the chance to rescue him.
Flint was worried about Taff now. After seeing what Zoriel did to her slaves, there was no telling how far she'd go with a prisoner.
She will not kill him unless you attack her. And since he knows nothing of where you are, she will not torture him terribly. I hope.
Vera offered, but again she began to shake and whimper. Rhona approached unnoticed, hearing what Vera had said. The scene she walked into made her hesitate. Something was different about everyone in a drastic way. She had never seen the woman before, and, judging by the expressions on the guys' faces, something big just went down. She waited outside the ring of candlelight, hoping the woman wasn't talking about Taff. But the knot in the pit of her stomach told her it was true. Cardigan's good-natured expression gave way to one of worry. Saying nothing, he turned his eyes, finding the stars. He held out his hands and started praying out loud. Rhona couldn't help but remember how deranged he seemed in prison when she had first met him. Here he was, ranting and raving again, addressing God as if he were a friend.
Just when I was starting to like this guy, he pulls another crazy move.
Rhona thought to herself. She didn't want to eavesdrop on Cardigan, or make it seem like she was joining him in prayer, so she gathered her courage and walked into the light next to Flint.
Who's this?
Interrupting something the priest was saying.
Rhona,
Flint said, rushing to her and pulling her aside to explain.
that is the dog. She was cursed and demon-possessed, and Priest Michael just I don't know what he did, actually. I guess I just witnessed a real exorcism. Rhona, this stuff is creeping me out. I'm beginning to worry that this is only going to get worse. We need to get out. out of here as soon as possible.
Really, Flint? You expect me to believe the priest exorcised a demon out of a dog and turned it into a woman? What are you smoking, man? I've been gone for 20 minutes. You're wanting to run away. Crazy man over there is talking to the stars. And there's a strange, pathetic woman covered in mud telling stories over a candle to a priest who is the only one acting remotely sane. Seriously, Flint, what is going on?
Rhona grabbed Flint by the shoulders and forced him to look her in the eye.
Okay, look, Rhona, the woman, her name is Vera. And she just told us that your friend Taff is alive. And a few minutes ago, she was...
He was trying hard to explain, but again, Rhona didn't understand.
How does she know about him? What does she know about Taff?
She was getting more skeptical by the minute.
Well, I don't know exactly. She says she was Zoriel's slave and Rhaegar is hunting us. And they sent her to locate us and keep track of what we are doing. So I guess she's seen him or something.
Flint said, watching Rhona pace back and forth.
Wait, what? I need to process this. So she's the spy? I haven't seen her before. What'd you guys really do with her dog?
Rhona, I'm serious. She was the dog, I'm not lying. But that wasn't the worst of it. I literally saw the demon leave her. It's so crazy. That's why we just have to leave. We have to go because all this stuff is weirding me out big time. The things we've chalked up to legend and myths are appearing right before my eyes and if it's all true...
Flint's voice trailed off as he remembered the smoke, the figures in the fire. Now this?
Flint, listen to me. You're tired. The long day is getting to you. I get it. I'm skeptical too, but I'm staying because 1, I want to see the Enchantress pay for what she's done to all these people and Dad. And 2, because I'm going to do all I can to save Taff. I wouldn't leave even if what you're saying is true. I've done a lot of stupid stuff, and this is my chance to make up for it. So go ahead and leave, but I'm going to see this through if I have to assassinate the witch myself.
Rhona said, trying not to raise her voice. Flint let out a frustrated sigh, taking off his glasses and resting one hand on his hip as he rubbed his eyes with the other. Rhona rolled her eyes back and looked up at the stars. Their abundant beauty always stopped her in her tracks, no matter what was going on around her.
You'll be okay, Flint. I won't let anything happen to you. Hang in there. Get some sleep. Sometimes fatigue can mess with your head. We're going nowhere till this is all solved.
Flint nodded, and, glancing back at the candlelit faces of Vera and the priest, walked off shaking his head. Magic, miracles, God, demons, all materialized right in front of his face. This meant so much beyond his control was true.
Heaven and hell? A true possibility now. This isn't what I need right now.
Rhona stayed where she was, wondering how anything could have gotten to Flint that way. Rhona crossed her arms and leaned against a post at the edge of the shed, listening in on the priest's conversation with the helpless woman. She had one eye on Cardigan, who was praying more quietly now. From what Vera was telling Priest Michael, it was plain that Zoriel and Rhaegar were bickering for power, and that Zoriel had the upper hand. Her resources were greater than they had at first realized. Vera told them she had enslaved even more people since the fire. The fortress was being beefed up. It would take a serious siege to bring it down. When the priest found out she was housing people inside the walls, he understood why the stronghold would be impossible to breach. No decent person would burn the walls if women and children were locked inside them. Zoriel and Rhaegar were using them as a shield. Cardigan returned, looking weary. He noticed Rhona and bowed his head slightly. She did the same, and that made him grin.
I have to make a difficult decision, Vera. I appreciate your honesty and thank you for telling us all you can. Your revelation, however, gives me pause. I'm sorry, but we cannot talk any further.
The Welshman remained calm, yet concern saturated his voice. Vera looked slightly hurt. The priest gave her hand a tight squeeze.
All is well, child. If you can remember anything else, please tell what you can remember.
Flint returned and stood next to Rhona.
Couldn't sleep.
If you are thinking you can rescue this man, my prince, you cannot. Do not try. All will be lost. You cannot do it. Please, my prince. I beg you. He will survive the winter. I know. I've been locked in the tower before. He is a valued prisoner. She will not let him die of cold or hunger or... Prince, pray he does not try to escape. She will surely kill him if he does.
Vera pleaded, looking from face to face, trying to make them understand the gravity of her advice.
If you try to rescue him now, he will die, and you will die, and they will all die.
She buried her face in her hands and drew her knees up. Priest Michael stood, a hulk in the dark. He bent over and laid his hand on Vera's head.
Rest now, child.
He motioned for the others to follow him out of earshot.
We must leave before dawn, Prince Cardigan. Let us ready ourselves. Entrust someone with her, someone who has compassion. Vera cannot be allowed to leave, for if the enemy recaptures her, she will lose her life. She is valuable, but also precious to God. Make sure she is treated well. I fear people will shame her for her scars.
Indeed, Father. I will leave her with Edward. Lady Rhona Flint, are you prepared to leave?
We will be ready when you are.
Rhona replied, and she meant it. For months now, they had stood by Cardigan, the priest, and the townsfolk of Brecon, witnessing and experiencing the horrors inflicted on them by Zorial and Rhaegar. Too much was still uncertain. But the one thing Rhona knew, she wasn't going to go down without a fight. And by the looks of it, neither were any of her companions. For the first time in her life, Rhona Thatcher knew she had made the right choice. Now the twins were on an adventure set in motion by a god they didn't know, with a ragtag group that had the courage of a mighty army. But lurking in the shadows, using methods of devious intent, Zorial watched, waiting for a moment to strike hard and fast. Cardigan's mission to seek the help of other Welsh lords was a foolhardy mission, doomed to failure. It would not be by the might of men that she would be held back. As the
Uh-oh. Right at the end. Right when we were so close to hearing the end. Isn't that neat? Don't you just love technology? Well, you know what? There you go. Now is the incentive to go listen to the end on the streaming platforms. It is available on the streaming platforms. I am going to, wow, I mean, wasn't our voice actors weren't they just awesome? I really enjoyed that show. As far as that episode, I mean, it gave me chills. It was so neat. A big round of applause for Jeff Black and Casey Caballero, our sound designer, and our cast. Extra claps to Lauren Harding and Mallory Trunnell for making that exorcism scary and that blood-curdling scream. Dang, that was awesome. I'm so sorry that we're getting left on like the last minute of the show. But you know what? We're just going to roll with it because we're not going to turn around and try to get back to the end of that. I think we're going to have another system crash, which is basically what happened here. So we're going to keep rolling with the show. It is out on all streaming platforms right now. So you can go, I would take it, episodes 24 minutes. So take it right to that 23-minute mark and hear what happens at the end. But of course, we left on a little bit of a cliffhanger. That's perfect. Season finale. Wait, what? What happened? You know what? That's just the way it goes. You know what? While we see if we can fix this, maybe, we're going to give it a little shot. I want to thank our sponsors who have been a huge part of this show and who have bought ad space and continued to support 30 episodes. So here we go. Thank you to our sponsors. That's so funny.
No sound.
All right, there we go. No sound on that one. Cool. That's all right. Hey guys, if you want to check out some excellent coffee and tea, then please go over to atticus.com and use our promo code 1232-1232 for 32% off your first order. And then, of course, we thank Oasis Family Media and Enclave Publishing and Sky Turtle Press for believing in the show and sponsoring it, as well as Dramify. So if you enjoyed our show and you really like this form of content, you're like, wow, I don't think I've heard an audiobook like this or a podcast like this, then we can hook you up with Dramify. You can go there, listen for free, or subscribe and enjoy listening to all kinds of shows like this: westerns, comedies, mysteries, fantasy. There's a really great one on there called Robin Hood Rise to Honor that features quite a few of the voice actors from our show as well through Eternal Productions. All right, guys, get your comments in now. Get in your questions. Thank you. Yes, massive round of applause for everyone involved. Thank you guys so much. What a treat to have everyone a part of this show. Oh, man. Excellent, excellent. So let's talk about the cast. Send in some questions. Okay, hold on one second. Jet is sending me a question here, handwritten. I can't read it. But, all right, I know that my family are watching, and I know that they've got some questions. Cheyenne's here. I know. It's been so cool to have everybody involved in this. It has so many family members. And speaking of family and community of people, and also one of our sponsors, Alpha Animated Chiropractic, is back home in Ruidoso. I would actually ask, since we're all here, to pray for Ruidoso, New Mexico, and Lincoln County, my hometown. So many people, so many of our voice actors are from there, and including Kevin McDonald, who plays Mir Than Imris, and the Lady of the Lake, Miranda, Garrett LeMay, who does a bunch of different voices. And, you know, if we could pray for Ruidoso. They're really going through it. A couple weeks ago, they had an extreme wildfire that really took out hundreds of homes and is causing horrendous flooding now that the monsoon season has started. And of course, Hurricane Beryl coming through. These natural disasters are tough to deal with, and everyone needs help during that time. So, hey, you know what? If you have a prayer request or would like to be praying for Ruidoso, drop those in the comments. I'm going to save those prayer requests, and I'm going to be praying for you or anyone you know of that needs help. But yes, please keep Ruidoso in your prayers. It's going to be a long time for the town to recover, and it's such an incredible and beautiful community of people. that are really strong. We want to pray for revival for Rudoso, pray for healing, and pray for strength. So thank you guys for doing that with us. Thank you. Thank you. Good folks there. All right, let's get to some questions. This one's from Jalen. Who plays Little Boy's character? He's such a talent. Oh, very fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylin Landry and Crockett Landry, my niece and nephew, both play the character of Little Doffith. So Doffith is about 6 years old. Kaylin is 9, or about to be 9. I don't know. Kaylin, how old are you? Tell me in the chat there. And Crockett, her little brother. So we went ahead and kind of combined both of their efforts in the character itself. So Kaylin does an excellent accent, just out of the blue, no training, just, well, bam, she did it. She's watched a lot of movies and loves the same kind of fantasy and sci-fi that her mom and I do. And she's been a part of the process a long time. So when it came to finding a child actor, voice actor, we asked Kaylin, she's like, yeah, I think I can do it. And then she just went and nailed it. And then Crockett James came in and did like a bunch of the little fighting noises and sword fights and things like that to kind of give it a little bit more little boy energy. Great job, Kaylin and Crockett. So fun. Now, the main characters, let's talk about some of our characters here. Let's talk characters. Send in your questions if you have any. If you don't have any, that's fine. Kaylin's 9. There you go. Nice. Flint, played by Corey Keller, which Corey does such a great job of capturing Flint's foolishness. And he's a little aloof. He's obviously very intelligent, but he is really kind of unaware, and he's eager to learn things, but he's also a little conceited and very selfish and complains a lot. And Corey really did a good job of bringing that little bit of comedy to Flint's character. Now, Flint is based off of Daniel Jackson from Stargate SG-1 and Milo Thatch from Atlantis. And if you haven't seen those movies or TV show, then you're really missing out. But if you have, then you probably are conjuring up the exact image we want for Flint. And then, of course, Rhona Thatcher is played by Robin Cage. And Robin brought this little touch of like, not only fiery being like Rhona is, but there's a little bit of sass that Robin brought to the character that we didn't really have in there exactly. But when I got Robin's audition, I was like, no, that sounds like Rhona. That's perfect. And Rhona is based off of Ronda Rousey, the MMA and WWE champ, as well as Gina Carano, another actress in MMA from Star Wars and other films. Gina Carano is more like the evolution of Rhona when Rhona finally gets nice eventually. Gina, please play Rhona in the TV show. Anyways, Rhona is kind of the typical unlikable, independent, arrogant main character that is sort of common in fantasy today. She don't need no man. She don't need any friends. Can do it all. She's the authority in her life until she isn't. And you know by now the different kind of decisions that she's made to put her into an awkward place. And if you didn't like Rhona and Flint at the beginning of the show, but now they're growing on you, that's exactly what we wanted. It's not technically how you're supposed to write fiction at all, fantasy fiction. Everybody's supposed to really like the MCs right away. Cheyenne and I didn't do that. We instead wrote characters really where they were, where they appeared to us, which was in the middle of a lot of crap, and they needed some help, and they needed to be able to have this adventure to work on themselves individually and to hear from the Lord. And so when they get thrown back in time and start confronting things, hopefully you've been able to enjoy their arc as Rhona has become more thoughtful and soft and working in a team and really becoming a member of the Brecken resistance and accepting help and enjoying little Doppet's company. And then, of course, Flint is not complaining so much anymore. And he's gaining a lot of confidence. And he's with such a great group of friends and allies that really starts changing him. And that's a big moral of season 1, is who you're around really shapes a lot of decisions that you make. And so, hopefully you guys got that lesson from it. Let's see what other kind of questions we have. But I just want to thank Robin and Corey for being wild enough to be a part of the show. They did such a great job. Robin is filming a TV pilot right now, so she's busy. Corey just played some live shows. He has a podcast. He does so many things. They're so multi-talented that they are busy this evening. But they came on the release when we did the release live stream. They came on and said a few things. You can go back and watch that and see what they look like if you haven't been following us on the socials, which means you should be following us on the socials because I post about them all the time. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. We need the algorithm to see this. Please make sure you're signed up for our newsletter, subscribe to our YouTube, and all of that is awesome things we can do to keep the show going. Okay, nice. Jessica King, who did Zorial, was so amazing. Who will be taking over her voice? This is the amazing thing that God did with that. First of all, yes, Jessica King, that's just the way she talks. And that's how I met her, is in that gravelly voice. And so when it came time to cast Zorial, I was just like, goodness, that's perfect, And Jessica unfortunately passed away. But what did end up happening is she came out to record with us season 1 in 2022 in the summer, I think, Jet. And everything was just going so smooth. And we had 3 days with her to get all of it. And I think it was day 2, we had everything we needed. And I was like, okay, that's great. We'll get you back when we can do season 2. Because at that point, we were just trying to get season 1 recorded. And then Jet's like, hey, it's going so good. Why don't you just go ahead and pull up our lines for season 2? So thankfully, Jessica King we have everything recorded for her for season 2. So Jessica King will continue, her voice will continue to be as Zorial, our evil enchantress from Spain, if you haven't figured that out yet. But good question. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, Jessica's family. We are so honored. Some fireworks. It's Tennessee. Fireworks continue all through the month of July. But we are so thankful that Jessica did the show, and her family has enjoyed being able to hear her in that way. It really was a gift from the Lord. It really was. It was awesome. And then Jonathan Cook, who plays Captain Rhaegar, he was a voice actor that came along through some mutual connections after we had already done the Kickstarter, and I still had to cast a few people. Rhaegar was one of the last people I cast, maybe even the last. And because I was really struggling finding someone who was willing to kind of do a Nordic Danish accent, because I was like, well, Zorial, we have her speaking Spanish, and even though nobody really sounds that Welsh, they sound like they could be in a BBC TV show. And it would be great if we just went ahead and made Rhaegar really sound like he was from Denmark, like he's supposed to be. And Jonathan Cook is a part of Eternal Future Productions. He does terrific work. They've been doing it for years and years, he and his wife and his family. So they are OGs at this. And you can hear a lot of their shows on Dramify. And found him through a mutual connection, J.D. Sutter, who runs Audio Theater Central. And I was like, hey, would you audition for this part? And he did, and he just nailed it. I gave him the reference of Mads Mikkelsen. I think that's how you say his name. But he's the bad guy from Casino Royale, the James Bond, the guy with the sheath. And so I gave that guy as a reference, and I feel like he really nailed kind of capturing that accent. So Jonathan Cook will continue to be Rhaegar in season 2. So season 2, what are we going to do, guys? What are we going to do about season 2? Well, I'm going to answer that question in just a second. You guys drop in the chat who your favorite character is so far, and make sure that you are subscribed and hitting the follow button. I also dropped some new merchandise. 1232 is now available free of ads the entire season on our Bandcamp. Those fireworks. And we also dropped some fun merch. So I'm going to give you guys a little tour of that. And here we go. That's okay. You can see we've got some earrings, and we've got some t-shirts, and we've got some stickers. So if you guys want to help support season 2, then you can definitely do that. Jet has dropped the link in the chat to check out our merch. All merch sales are going directly towards funding season 2. All right, who plays Vera? And that is Lauren Harding, a musician friend of mine from Nashville, Tennessee. Lauren is a musician, a singer. She's done a lot of different stage and theater production, and she's also done quite a bit of voiceover work. And she is amazing at capturing the lisp and just, oh, she made me so sad. She was whimpering, and I was like, just picture the saddest dog at the pound that you've ever seen. And you know, she just seemed to capture that when she was playing Vera, especially in these poor pathetic moments. But Vera is redeemed now, and I can't wait to see what she does in the next season, hopefully. Jet is looking at me like, what do you mean season 2? Basically what's going to happen now, folks, what's next is we are going to be taking a break. How long that break is, I don't know, because it's going to be honest with you, season 2 it's going to be a while before we really are able to begin production. The best thing about it is that all the voice cast has been cast and recorded. So like I said, Zoriel, Jessica King, Jonathan Cook, Rhaegar, Robin Cage, Sid Goodlow is Priest Michael, Corey Keller, Matt Burke is Cardigan, and he also plays Taff, if you didn't pick up on that in the past episodes. So we have all their stuff, which is fantastic. And we have a bunch of the equipment and the things, but the cost of editing, because we had to bring in another editor and still will for the next season, and various other cost issues and time issues are getting in the way. So it is going to take a miracle from the Lord, which he works those, y'all. He really does, because it was a miracle to even get this far and to even get the show off the ground. So I believe that he most definitely will do that. So it will take a miracle for season 2 to happen. I want it to happen for you guys. I really do. I want it to happen for me too, and for Cheyenne to really close 1232 off. But I don't know when that will be. So anything we do over the summer will be to test the waters and see what the Lord has for fundraising. I don't know if I'll do another Kickstarter. Probably not, but I definitely would appreciate you joining the Patreon or buying some merch, because that will definitely help. All right, got some merch questions. Any measurements on the shirts? I like the red one, but I'm not sure how big an XL, double X is. These are unisex t-shirts, so they're not super fitted. And they're not super boxy. They're all by Bella Canvas and Next Level. We do have double X in the red. We'll just put that on there. And then I can probably, maybe? No, I guess I might be able to bring it to you, Sarah, because we're going to be at Realm Makers together. That'd be good. That's the next event that 1232 has on the docks, is going to be at Realm Makers. I'll be pitching another book I've written that's not in the 1232 universe. It's a fae fantasy romance. Brittany, you dirty dog, what are you doing here? Just kidding. And so we're going to Realm Makers in a week or so to be amongst our peers in the fantasy world, speculative fiction world, and be pitching that book, and then also going to be able to talk to Steve with Oasis Audio and maybe make some plans on what we're going to do with this season 1. So it's very exciting to what we've got going on, and you will get updates on all of that if you sign up on the newsletter. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat one more time for that newsletter sign up. Y'all need to do it. Also, I will say that I know that we got cut off right at the end of our premiere tonight, but the show is live right now. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, YouTube, Amazon, and we need ratings. So make sure you go and rate it. If you've enjoyed the whole process, if you've enjoyed the show at all, now that we're at the end and you want to share your opinion and your thoughts, give it a rating. For those of you guys, which I know many of you have, that are watching right now, have actually given us ratings. Thank you so much. That really does help get it in front of more people with the algorithm. And we'll be working more on that too. Honestly, Jet and I have just been so swamped with just getting the episodes out to you that I haven't been able to do a ton on the back end. But, you know, the Lord is doing things in our life right now, and there's a lot going on, like for all of us, and it's a crazy time, which is awesome because I was afraid I wouldn't be born in an epic era, but I think I have been. So, you know, we're just going to take it one day at a time, one step at a time. There is a plan to continue to market season 1, to continue to share it, to continue to get it out there. I was just featured on another podcast. I'm going to going to Ren fairs. We're getting the word out. We're definitely going to actively be pursuing getting season 2 out. But when that is, I just don't have an answer for you. I did not get a season 2 trailer made for today because it just I don't know when I'm going to do that, but hopefully I will. Send in your questions, folks. We just have a few more minutes for our live stream. I hope you've enjoyed celebrating the finale with us. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, Venmo and Cash App. I don't have a Cash App, but I do have a Venmo. It's just my name here. Also, on the website, audio-epic.com, there is a donate button via PayPal. See, I think there's another. Oh, there it is. Is there going to be a season 3 from Kaylin? Kaylin. If I said that, I might get a coffee cup thrown on my head from Jet Black. We would love to have a season 3. We'd love to. We'd love to continue the story forever and ever and ever, years and years and years to come. But we don't know if that's going to happen. And season 3, though, is written. And it has a major twist. And that's pretty daggone exciting. We have to get through season 2 first. We've got to find out what happens to Rhona and Flint. You know, are they going to get their act together? Are they going to finally become friends and fix their relationship as brother and sister? Are they going to come to terms with having a relationship with the Lord? Is Cardigan going to be able to fight Zoriel? I mean, we got Vera as a spy. Is there another spy? You know, what's going on? How are these guys, this ragtag team, going to take her down? What's going to be the answer here? Cardigan, as you heard in that last episode, is planning on being able to possibly go out and basically raise support for his side, talk to other lords and chieftains in Wales to secure an army to go take Brecon Keep back. Will he be able to do that? Who's he going to go talk to? Will we? Here's what I will tell you about season 2 right out the gate. If you enjoyed Mirvan Imris from season 1, the prologue, and you're like, that was so cool, what happened to that guy? Well, he's in season 2. He is very much so, and you're gonna have to figure out who he is. What is going on with the fireworks? God bless Tennessee. We're just in the hood here, setting off fireworks. But as I was trying to say, Mir the Nimrus is back in season 2, and all of that kind of interesting world we set up in that prologue comes crashing in to season 2. We've got labyrinths and magic and way more coming. It sounds like you're under siege. We are. To the ramparts. Batten hatches. To the turrets. All the fun things. We are not. We're safe. It's just fireworks. All right. Mom. Oh, Mom. My mom plays a character, Karen, which unfortunately died. Spoiler. I mean, if you haven't gotten that far in the show, I don't know what you're doing here. But she did a great job with that. When does the movie come out? The movie comes out in 2027. No, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said earlier, if Gina Carano would please be a part of this project, I thought about ambushing her in Knoxville, Tennessee this weekend because she's at the Knoxville Comic-Con, and she is so cool. I have enjoyed watching her story. I'd love to have her involved. That would be cool. But I don't know. What do you think? How would we cast it? Gina Carano. Let's see if I can pull up. Let me see here. Can I be this fast? I don't know. If I can pull up a picture of Gina Carano. She's too pretty to be Rhona, but she can be Rhona. You guys might recognize her from. Here we go. I got this. Oh no, maybe. Might recognize her from Star Wars. She's a great character. And then Disney kicked her out because of her beliefs, because of a couple of things that she said on her Twitter. They totally kicked her out. And that's a big reason why 1232 exists, is Cheyenne and I really wanted to be able to create content that was outside of the Hollywood crap machine, and that had to do with creating wholesome, family-friendly entertainment again. It was adventurous and exciting. There's Gina Carano. All the images blurry. But yeah, if we got her involved, that would be awesome. Who would we cast as Flint, you guys? Who would we cast? Yeah, Gina is so cool from The Mandalorian. That's the one. Robin Cage. I mean, she's an actress too. She is perfect though. She is absolutely perfect. All right, guys. What else? We've got any other casting predictions? Any other questions? Get those in. Let's see. Did I have? Once again, we just want to thank our sponsors. And oh, I forgot to show you this video. We are going to close out here pretty quick. Get your questions in if you have any. Thank you guys for joining the live stream. It's a busy time. July, it's summer. So many people are out and about being busy and doing a lot of things, and you took time to come on here and hear me talk some more about the show. Thank you very much for doing that. And we're going to use this video and then close you out. There you go. That's a fun little reel. I did want to share this. Sarah said Lewis Pullman as Flint, and I just looked him up, and I'm going to pop him here in the chat. I think that's a great one. That's a really good one, especially paired with Gina Carano. Let's see here. Let's see if we can pull him up. He would make a great Flint. I can see it. can see it. Now, is he related to the other Pullman guy from our youth? From, what is it? Not Sleepless in Seattle. It's the one with Sandra Bullock. Is that his son? 'Cause it looks a lot like him. If it's not. The fireworks are for 12:32. They are. Our neighbors, they knew. Oh, gosh. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been fun. I love that I've got Brittany and Sarah and Cheyenne. Oh, he is Wolf. He is Wolf Bowman's son. There you go. I'm so glad to have a bunch of my sisters in the chat, to have Jet help all the way. We are closing the chapter here, everybody. Season 1 is over. We got to listen to the finale. Please go download it. Downloads are very important. We are at the top 1% of successful podcasts for getting past the 20 episode mark. I was just talking to a marketing exec today about doing some stuff with the show, and he told me that 99% of podcasts don't make it, and they stop well before episode 20. And so it is amazing that we made it past that, plus we have more coming. So thank you, Lord, for that. Thank you guys for that. That's awesome to hear. It's very encouraging. It sounds very exciting. Top 1%, woohoo! And then we also are in the top 5% of podcasts with our download count. So we have almost 5,000 downloads. We get 150 plus per episode. And it doesn't sound like much maybe to you, but to me and to every one of us who are in the podcasting world, that's huge. It's very hard to get people to download the show. You've been downloading it. You have been saving it for later and listening. And so that's just massive. I mean, that just really helps the show get kind of that social proof, keep it legit, get it shown to more people. Helps me when I'm talking to other people in the industry, when I'm talking to sponsors, all of that really helps. So thank you guys. Go download the show wherever you're listening to it, on Audible, on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon Music. audio-epic.com is our website. It's been ticking across the screen here. Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Mom. And Jet says, it has been less fireworks on subs for weeks. Yes, they have. That's what they do here in Tennessee. It's very different from New Mexico. Thank you, Jalen. Bright future for Rumble Sump Entertainment. I hope so. I'm really excited to see what the Lord does. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a terrific evening. And stay courageous. Let's stay in touch.